Hi, Scott Robinson here. I'm the superintendent of the Zionsville Community Schools, and I'm with my friend Heyman Fields. I've known Heyman for many years. He and I used to referee IHSA basketball together, and just a great guy with a lot of experience. And Heyman, could you tell us a little bit about your military service?
Sure. In 1972, I was commissioned in the military as a second lieutenant. And that's because I was an ROTC student at Prairie View A&M University. And then after that, I moved to Indianapolis for a few months. And then I got my orders to report to Fort Bliss, Texas. That's in El Paso. Okay. And that's why I attended my OBC course, which is the officer basic course that you have to go through, and you got to finish that school. And I did that.
With my friend Larry Elstro, who is a veteran who served our country. Larry, tell us what that was like for you. What branch and what years and what were you up to in the service?
Oh my word! It goes back quite a few years now. It was like 50 years ago, and it's hard for me to accept that it's been 50 years ago that I was in the Air Force. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Mine was probably a little bit more unique than others in that I had gone through the ROTC program at Butler University and received my commission through that program and entered the Air Force as a second lieutenant officer. And this was back, I remember going on active duty, drove down to where I was assigned to go down in San Angelo, Texas at Goodfellow Air Force Base, and signed on there. I think it was October of 1966. And I was in the service. I was in the Air Force for about 5 years.
And I'm here with my colleague, Rebecca Kaufman. Becky is the assistant superintendent for operations here in the district, and she is a military veteran. So I have asked Becky to come on and speak with us a little bit about her service in the military and to help us with our annual veterans programs. So Becky, tell me, first of all, tell me about your military service.
Well, Veterans Day in our schools is always one of my favorite days each and every year. So I'm really thankful that you asked me to participate today. I got interested. I've always had a lot of family members that have been involved with the military. And when I was a student at Butler University, studying as a biology major, I just happened to come across an opportunity with the United States Marines. And it's very similar to a Air Force Academy or West Point Military Academy, the Naval Academy. It's the division for the Marine Corps where you go through all of your college experience at your university. And then during summers and throughout the months of the school year, you have designated times where you're off at training. So it's also part of your college transcript. So I became interested when the opportunity presented itself, as I was thinking, is this a way for me with graduate school opportunities and beyond? So I was really felt honored to be selected to participate in the program.
And I'm with Mr. Kenny Johnson, who served our country. And actually, I get to do a little bit of a sidetrack and say that his wife is a former teacher here in the Zionsville schools. And his mother-in-law was the principal at Pleasant View and at Union Elementary. So, I mean, he's in the family. So it's great that he's with us. And I so appreciate, Kenny, that you'd come on. So tell me, Mr. Johnson, tell us about your service in the military, if you would, please.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, I'm originally from Indiana. My father was in the military for 25 years. And so I grew up I was actually born at West Point, and it was just probably the right thing to go back to it. But I grew up in Indianapolis, but I did my undergrad at West Point, and that was the beginning of my military service. And after graduation, I had the opportunity to serve 6 years as a field artillery officer. And so my first experience was in Germany, and then I had the opportunity to serve our country in Afghanistan in a small outpost. It was called Camp Keating or the Outpost. There's a film that was just made about the outpost, and so if you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's a great kind of story about what happened at Camp Keating and what the soldiers went through during the deployment. After I did my deployment to Afghanistan, I went back to Germany. I was an assistant strategic planning officer, and I was selected to go back to West Point to be an admissions officer, specifically diversity admissions. And so trying to shape the class of West Point incoming class to ensure that it represented the United States. And then I finished my career in 2012 as a recruiting company commander here in Indiana. And so I had recruiting stations all throughout the state, enlisting the best and brightest into the Army, which I think is the best branch.
I think it's important for our K-12 students and all citizens of our country to learn the value and the sacrifice that individuals each and every day, peacetime, wartime, every single day, there are individuals in our country and around the world on aircraft carriers who are sacrificing their time with their family to keep all American citizens protected and citizens of other countries protected just through our various alliances. And I think it's important to take that time each year to pause and reflect on the hard work of so many people to keep peace across the globe.
I think people should learn about veterans like every day, because what happens is, and one of the things that's happening just in general is there's just a smaller percentage of the overall population that serves. And, you know, as from the baby boomers, there was a large group, you know, World War II, and then, you know, Korea, and then Vietnam, and the people that are serving, it's just fewer of us. However, we're a nation at war, and there are people that, you know, don't want us to continue the way that we live. And so there are men and women that sign up and put on the uniform to say they want to make sure that we are able to retain the values that make us great. And those men and women should be recognized. Celebrating Veterans Day annually is important, so that the people that take off the uniform, they often assimilate back into society. And ensuring that, you know, we will know what these soldiers have gone through in order to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, is incredibly important. And it is one of the most important things that a person can do. And for recognizing them annually is a really good thing, from our youngest kids to the oldest. And so it's something that gets me excited. I'm glad that you're doing this, and every year I go to the school to watch the event. So I'm glad that you're doing this still. Absolutely.
The Corps of Engineers, they do many different things that when it comes down to it, we can build, you know, roadways, we can do that. And then not only that, but we also would build bridges. You know, at one time when we was up in Wisconsin, we actually built a bridge, MT-46 bridge across the river. And then, you know, once you do that, you can drive your vehicles across it. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we did, we let a Chinook helicopter land on the bridge to make sure it holds. And see, it's all about teamwork, which means that we talk about teamwork today. You know, even the kids, they have teamwork, because when it comes to basketball, football, all of this is nothing but good teamwork. So we have like 5 different companies, and each company had a job to do to make everything come together. And then when they work together as a team, it come out to be great.
Gives you a sense of who the country is, what our background is, what our culture is all about, and it gives a chance for our citizens to serve our country in the military, which is a very, very important thing to do. It's what protects our freedom, and you also on the backside of this, you learn yourself from being in the service of how to accept training, how to accept responsibility, and how to grow as a person in life, from being someone fairly young in your teens to being away from home, and learning what life's all about, and particularly having a chance to go overseas, as I was fortunate enough to be able to do.
Yeah. And so when a soldier, signs up, whether in the Army or the Marines or any branch of the armed forces, they know in the back of their mind that they could potentially pay the ultimate sacrifice, which is their loss of their own life. And they're willing to do whatever it takes to defend their brother and sister to their left and to their right. One of the mottos that we have is, yes, freedom isn't free, but we also have, we've got your six, which means we've got your back. And when someone goes into combat or goes into harm's way, knowing that it's going to be one of the hardest things that they could possibly do, and they may not come home to the families that love them, that's the ultimate sacrifice, right? And you can't put any dollar amount on that, or any there is nothing more than that, right? And I think when people are able to sign up and know what they're ultimately trying to do, which is protect the people to their left and the right, it's a big cost, and so recognizing it is paramount. And freedom isn't free. And like I said earlier, we're a nation at war, and there's people that don't want us to continue the way that we are what we do. We've got people that are willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice to protect what makes America what America is.